They noticed the truck before he even stopped. Not because it stood out, but because it didn't. Old paint, worn edges, the kind of truck people stopped trusting years ago, and parked right next to it. New ones, bigger, cleaner, built for power. That's when the comments started. Quiet at first, then louder, a few laughs. Because in a situation like this, no one expected that truck to do anything, especially not what needed to be done. The load was too heavy, too stuck, too much for the others that had already tried and failed. But he didn't respond, didn't explain it. He just stepped out, looked at the problem, and got back in. Because he hadn't brought that truck to prove anything. He brought it because he already knew what it could do. And when he finally put it in gear, that's when everything changed. The problem wasn't small. It wasn't something you could fix with a quick pull. A loaded trailer, sunk deep where the ground gave way. One side lower than the other. Weight shifting just enough to make it worse with every attempt. The kind of situation that doesn't just need power. It needs control. And that's where things started going wrong. The newer trucks tried first. Stronger engines, more horsepower. Everything on paper said they should have handled it. But when they pulled, the wheels spun. Too much force, not enough grip. The ground broke further. The trailer sank deeper, each attempt making it harder than before. Some tried changing angles. Others tried pulling faster, more aggressive, more force. But it didn't matter. Because the more they pushed, the worse it got. And after a while, they stopped trying, stepped back, looked at it like it wasn't worth the risk anymore. That's when the attention shifted, not to the problem, but to him and that truck. Because now, it wasn't just about solving it. It was about whether he thought he could. By that point, no one was trying anymore. The problem hadn't gone away, but the effort had, because everyone who thought they could handle it already had their chance, and it hadn't worked. So when he stepped forward, it didn't look like confidence. It looked like another mistake. A few people watched, some out of curiosity, some expecting the same result as before, and a few still smiling. Because from the outside, nothing had changed. Same stuck trailer, same ground, same conditions, and a truck that looked less capable than the ones that failed. He didn't rush it, didn't jump straight in. He walked around it first, looked at the angle, the way the weight was sitting, where the ground had given way. Taking in details most people had already ignored. Then he'd lined the truck up. Not the way the others had, slightly different. More controlled, more deliberate. And that's when it got quiet. Because even the ones who doubted it could tell something about this attempt wasn't the same. He got back in, adjusted once more, hands steady, no hesitation. Because he wasn't trying to overpower the problem. He was trying to understand it. And for the first time that day, it didn't feel like another attempt. It felt like something that might actually work. He didn't hit the gas right away, didn't try to force it, because that's what everyone else had done, and it hadn't worked. Instead, he eased into it. Slow, barely enough to move at first, letting the truck feel the weight before asking it to pull it. The tires didn't spin. They pressed down, gripped, because he wasn't trying to break the resistance. He was working with it. Then he adjusted again, just slightly, changing the angle, not by much, but enough to shift the load. And that's what made the difference. Because the trailer wasn't just stuck, it was unbalanced. And every aggressive pull before had made that worse. But this time, the weight started to settle differently. You could see it. Subtle at first, a small shift, then another. The ground didn't break further. The truck didn't fight it. It moved with it. And then it happened. The trailer lifted. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to break the hold. Enough to change everything. And for the first time, the wheels weren't spinning. They were moving, steady, controlled, pulling something no one else could. And just like that, what looked impossible a moment ago was coming free. Once it started moving, it didn't stop. Not suddenly, not aggressively, just steady. The kind of movement that doesn't look impressive at first, until you realize what it's doing. The trailer came up, inch by inch, out of the ground that had held it in place. No spinning, no jerking, just control. And that's when people stepped closer. Because now they weren't watching to see if it would fail. They were watching because it wasn't. The same load that had stopped every other truck was coming free, right in front of them, slowly but without struggle. And then it cleared, completely. The weight shifted back into place. The ground released it. And just like that, it was over. No noise, no celebration, just silence. The kind that only happens when something doesn't go the way people expected. Because the truck they had laughed at had just done what theirs couldn't. And standing there, watching something they thought was impossible, there was only one thing left to understand. It wasn't about the truck. It never was. It was about how it was used. After that, no one said anything about the truck. Not the paint, not the age, not the way it looked when it pulled in. Because none of that mattered anymore. The same truck they had laughed at had just done what theirs couldn't. And nothing about it had changed. Not the engine, not the build, not the condition. The only difference was who was driving it. Because tools don't fail the way people think they do. Most of the time, it's not about what you have. It's about how you use it. But that's harder to see, harder to measure, and easier to overlook, especially when something else looks better on the surface. He didn't stay to explain it, didn't point anything out, didn't need to, because the result had already said everything. Standing there, in a moment that had gone completely the opposite of what people expected, there was only one thing left to understand. That the difference between something being underestimated and something proving its worth isn't always in the thing itself. Sometimes it's in the hands that know what to do with it, and sometimes that's all it takes.